Hello my quilting friends! Leah Day here with a new free motion quilting design. Today I am stitching a design called bean sprouts on my home sewing machine, and it starts out with this simple little shape, and I actually call this a different design. That is a dewdrop. It's just a simple wiggly line with 2 teardrops on the end. So now I'm going to turn it into bean sprouts, and we're going to echo around it multiple times, and this is going to expand the design on the surface of the quilt. It's going to take up a lot more space, and it's going to fill the quilt with this beautiful curving texture. Look at that. It's just a really soft, gentle texture, a lot of flowing curves all over the quilt. There's a little bit of travel stitching involved here, as you can see. Just try and keep it clean. If you do mess up, travel stitch over it like you just saw me do, and that will make it look better. So here I'm swinging back around, and I'm going to talk you through the design. I'm in kind of like a little weird space here, so let me travel stitch out. Sort that out with the next bean sprout I stitch. So I'm going to travel stitch up here, and I'm going to branch out with a wiggly line, kind of curl back on itself, form a teardrop shape. Now I'm going to echo inside of it, little internal echo there, to create 2 teardrop shapes. Then travel stitch all the way back to the starting point. Now I'm going to travel stitch. Let's just stitch on top of previous stitching and then branch out and echo around it. Now echoing is just another skill. It's another technique that we have to learn for free motion quilting, and it's just keeping the lines evenly spaced apart. And so right here I'm aiming to keep them about 1/8 of an inch apart, and I'm travel stitching in order to create that distance, that space between the lines. I got this little weird area, so I think I'm going to fill it in with just some back and forth echoing lines. I think that's going to look good. It's going to separate one little bean sprout shape from another. And you can already start to see the texture that this creates when you add lots of echoes around each bean sprout, or you add only a few echoes. It also changes it a lot depending on how curvy your initial shape is. See how curvy this one is down here? That really affected the way the design looks. So now I'll travel stitch up again and swirl around to fill in this little weird area. You're always going to have little gaps in the design. Best thing to do with a design like this is fill it in with some evenly spaced curving lines. That works out nice. It's consistent with the rest of the design. So I'll form one more shape. I like to work in rows, and I sometimes will spin my whole quilt around just so I can keep working in rows and see what I'm able to do. And yes, that still works in a real quilt, I promise. Gotta give it a try. So start with a wiggly line, form my teardrop shape, swing inside for an echo, and definitely check out the other video on dewdrops. It's a really fun design. It's very, very simple, and it looks really different from this bean sprouts design. Now I've travel stitched and I'm echoing around it. This is definitely going to be a great skill builder for travel stitching and echoing. You're going to get a lot of practice echoing, especially as you swirl around that bean shape. Now, as far as the number of echoes that you put around the shape, that's really up to you. I'm, for some reason, stitching a whole lot around these, and I don't know why. It's just the way it ended up for me today. But it's one of those things that you can vary. I could have just stitched around it with 1 echo, and that would have been fine too. It's one of those things, I think, sometimes I'll sit down and just start echo quilting, and I'll get kind of in a habit or pattern of that, and then just want to do more of it. So keep that in mind. You know, it would look really different if you only had 1 or 2 echoes around it, versus I'm kind of stitching around these with 4 or 5 echoes each, and that's definitely expanding the designs. I'm having less shapes on my quilt and more of this beautiful ripply texture. So that's it for this design. Here's what it looks like when you finish quilting bean sprouts. So that's it for this video. If you'd like to find an entire book of designs to inspire you as you stitch, definitely check out my book, 365 Free Motion Quilting Designs, which has lots of inspiration for you to flip through and pick designs and try them out on your quilts. So check out the book at leahday.com, and until next time, let's go quilt.